going on, Chaz?
Not much. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to get started on this all important subject tonight. I mean,
Uh,
we've been getting a lot of buzz about it, so I might as well go ahead and put the crawl down at the bottom, the dangers and damage of stress part 2. How did you like it last week when we talked about this stress? What did you think about that?
oh yeah, I enjoyed it. Number one, it applied a lot to me. All these messages always can apply to myself as far as we go through the stress on a day-to-day basis, and we're not aware of what it does to the body, what it does with the cortisol levels, and then also just what it does for society. And I feel like it was a stunning and a good topic. What about yourself?
Yeah, I really believe that this is something that we have been avoiding for too long because stress affects all of us, as we talked about last week. And we need to do a better job of confronting stress and talking about how we can alleviate it and then what we can do when we are stressed out because stress comes, at any moment, but
Yeah.
we don't handle it well. And that's why we need to continue the discussion and talk about the dangers and the damage of stress. This
Oh yeah.
broadcast, though, can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So we hope that you tell someone about this because this subject matter is all too important when we
Right.
talk about stress. Now, Chaz, the first thing we want to talk about is I want you to read this and then I want to talk a little bit about this and I'll give you a chance to deal with it.
Stress is dangerous and damaging to us all.
Yeah, let's talk about these two words before we get into it because stress is dangerous, we say, and then we say it's damaging. So let's put them both and together and talk about what do we mean by that.
Letter A. Stress is dangerous because it weakens the body, making us more likely to get sick. Absolutely. I believe on another pinpoint, it weakens your immune system. It really, really makes you frustrated. And then also it's dangerous because when you hold all that stress in day after day, month after month, week after week, year after year, you hold all that up inside and you're ready to explode. And sometimes we purposely wait to explode on certain people because we feel like, oh, I've been stressed out at work, or I've been stressed out at school, or I've been stressed out taking care of these kids. All these scenarios that we prove it's dangerous because in some of us explode so much that after we explode, we have to go to the hospital or
Yeah.
have a stroke or the blood pressure gets too high. So these are the reasons why stress is dangerous and it weakens the body.
And I must preface what I'm about to say to say this. We're not neuroscientists, Chaz and I, but we do want to talk about what it does to the brain and how, like last week, we talked about a lot of crucial standpoints that let us know that stress is very, very damaging. It causes us harm. It hurts us. It really does. And we don't see it because we've taken this thing too lightly, and myself included. We allow stress to consume us. And my whole issue with it is just we always talk about how we're going to stop allowing people to stress us or we're going to stop allowing circumstances to stress us. But when you really look at it, we don't know how to stop it. We can't stop it. We make, as I said last week, we make these New Year's resolutions all the time. I'm going to stop letting people do this to me. I'm going to stop talking loud and hollering and cursing and going crazy. But when you think about it, Chaz, a lot of us are like sitting ducks. We don't know what to do with it. And that's why this broadcast is important. Stress is not only dangerous, but what about this one?
Letter B. Stress is damaging to us because it disrupts how the brain and body communicate. Yeah, it throws the body out of whack. For example, when you have high cortisol levels and you probably have been ignoring it for weeks after weeks, it's also associated to high blood pressure. Once again, high blood pressure in the black community is a silent killer. It's killing us left and right. We're taking all these prescriptions. We're taking all these medications. And this is my whole wrap up in a nutshell on that particular point.
Yeah, this isn't anything to play with. And that's why I believe we need to sound the alarm because for so many years, we didn't play with stress, but we just didn't know what to do with it. We've often said we're just going to stay away from certain people and maybe our stress levels will go down. But stress, it affects us in spite of who bothers us. Sometimes it's just internal. Sometimes when you get sick, sometimes when you have bills that need to be paid or just things that's going on or just your mindset, it stresses us out. And I believe that we have got to not avoid it any longer. And we have to talk about it. And we have to talk about it intelligently so people can realize that there is a way out. because we're going to talk later on about stress and what it does to the brain. We're going to show some more videos because a lot of people just like to talk because a lot of us don't know what to do. So we've done some research and we wanted people to know that there are things that we can do about stress to help us out. But let's welcome those who have joined us because we are always excited about those who join Adults Only. And we can't say it enough that we truly appreciate all of you for joining in and being a part of something that is very important, something that's crucial.
Sister Marie fires in here first. She says, Hotel Brothers. We appreciate her for that comment. Sister Mashonda's behind her. She says, Hotel. We appreciate her for her comment as well. And Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, Hotel. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's important, Chazz. But let's talk about unmanaged stress for a while.
Unmanaged stress steals our focus, weakens our body, affects our mind and memory. Yet when we face it, it can be the very thing that makes us stronger. Yeah, it does weaken your memory. As we talked about last week, when you have all the stress, it weakens, I believe, the hippocampus. And out throughout time, this is why we're forgetful. This is why we can't remember much. This is why we're always asking, where did I put this? Where did I put that? I can't remember where I put my car key. I can't remember where I put my wallet. You can't remember these things because after so long, the body or the brain is telling you, hey, something is going on here. All kind of messages and signals are sending on to the hippocampus saying, I am getting affected. And the more you give me stress, the more you frustrate me, the more you stress me out, my memory is going to start to lapse.
Yeah, and the unmanaged stress is really important because that's what I wanted to harp on tonight. We all are stressed in many issues and many times we're stressed. But what I'm trying to get to is we don't know what to do with it, Chazz. And I think when we look at it, it's like we're just at the whim of everything that comes our way. And this is why a lot of us look older than we actually are. This is why a lot of us can't sleep at night. This is why a lot of us are sick all the time. This is why many of us, we lose focus. Our memory is foggy. And it goes on to many, many other issues that stress related issues they do to us. And I think we need to really just take our time and talk about how stress doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care who you are. It's going to affect you regardless of, what you think, how you feel, or, your race, as this next point says.
Stress affects all people, regardless of race, gender, age, religious affiliation, educational background, economic status, or political party. Absolutely. This is basically saying stress isn't only for a certain amount of people. It's for anybody who's alive. If you're not careful, your age, teenagers can get stressed, elders can get stressed, young men, old women. It doesn't matter what you are. This is basically saying that stress is going to affect you one way or another if you don't learn how to get a grip on it. For example, there's easiest ways to relieve stress, but some of us don't like to relieve that stress, especially in the Black community. And I keep harping on us because it's like we take a pride at being stressful. I've been stressed all day at work. Don't you mess with me right now and X, Y, and Z. So like you said on the screen, it doesn't matter where you are, young, old, whatever you are, stress is going to affect you if you don't get a hold on it.
Yeah, and this is what stress does to many of us. And it shows that a lot of us are like this young lady that I'm about to show, but we just don't seem to realize that stress has done a job on us, and we really feel like this. Yeah, it makes us want to just scream. I mean, it makes us just shout to the top of our lungs because we're fed up with life. We're fed up with people. This is why, like last week, we noticed a lot of the older people were saying that they don't really like to be bothered when they get older. You see, they want to be barricaded themselves. They want to lock themselves away. They don't like any mess because they've dealt with so much through life. But this is what stress really does to many of us. It makes us just go crazy. And not only that, it does this. It just brings us down. Wow. It just brings us down, man. It brings us down. And this is many of us, but we don't want to acknowledge it. But stress has done a great disservice to our bodies and to our minds. And I think it's time that we begin to just acknowledge what's really going on when we're stressed out.
No, when we allow stress to get the better of us, we are neglecting our brain. Absolutely. In fact, like we just mentioned a few minutes ago, we put so much stress on that brain. We put so much anger and frustration on that brain because the brain is constantly signaling all these messages saying that, hey, this is too much. Hey, I can't take this. Hey, do something about this. And it's getting the best of us, like you just mentioned on those two pictures. Those were perfect examples of what stress are and what most of us feel on a day-to-day basis when we go through this type of stress.
You know, a lot of times when we're stressed out, I want to show an image now, but this image has to do with basically our brain. Now, it says when we allow stress to get the better of us, we are neglecting our brain. But if I can show an image to just show what I'm saying, you know, when you turn on a television or a computer and it's not working properly, you know, it's not firing the way it should. Sometimes you get this image I'm going to show. And when I was growing up, a lot of times with a television, when the television wasn't functioning properly, this is this image that we would get. And I think this is what is going on now with many of our brains. This is exactly what's happening. There's no signal. There's no signal. You know, everything is plugged up, but things aren't working the way they should work, because the brain should work in sync with the body. But when the brain isn't working properly, because as you mentioned, as we're going to show and get into a little bit later on, the hippocampus, when the hippocampus is shrinking and when it's damaged, it actually does a job on us. And we don't realize that's why a lot of us can't remember things. That's why we lose focus. That's why our mind is foggy. That's why we have issues relating with people, because there's no signal, Chazz. The signal is just like this image. And this is a perfect illustration, because I know even in my own life, there's been times where this no signal has happened to me. And it's like, I've got to plug into something so that I can become effective as a communicator and as a person. And I think this no signal is where a lot of us are today. We just aren't working the way we should because we've allowed stress to get the better of us.
Yeah, and then you also can add there certain things that we're not putting in our bodies to help the brain. There's certain nutrients, certain foods, certain things that we should be taking. And when you stop taking those certain vitamins and things like that, and you add on to the fact that you're constantly stressing day in and day out, like you just mentioned, you're going to get what you just saw on that screen, which was a no signal.
You know, I'm going to show something now, Chazz, that I think is timely now, because this information we're going to show now is what we need to discuss to show how chronic stress, what it does to us. So just hang in there with me. And I was having trouble with this, so just bear with me. It may play more than once, but just bear with me, because I want you to hear what this young lady is saying. It's not a long video, but here it is now.
Okay.
Did you know that chronic stress physically changes your brain? When stress sticks around too long, your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, actually gets bigger, making you more reactive to stress. At the same time, your hippocampus, the part of your brain that helps with memory, shrinks, leading to brain fog and forgetfulness. So here's the good news. Your brain is adaptable. You can reverse these effects with simple habits. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep to support brain repair. Move your body daily. Exercise helps your brain grow new cells. And use deep breathing to reset your stress response. Your brain is resilient, and so give it the support it needs. Did you know that chronic stress physically changes your brain? When stress sticks around too long, your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, actually gets bigger, making you more reactive to stress. At the same time, your hippocampus, the part of your brain that helps with memory, shrinks, leading to brain fog and forgetfulness. So here's the good news. Your brain is adaptable. You can reverse these effects with simple habits. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep to support brain repair. Move your body daily. Exercise helps your brain grow new cells. And use deep breathing to reset your stress response. Your brain is resilient, and so give it the support it needs. Did you know that chronic stress physically changes your brain? When stress sticks around too long, your amygdala, your brain's alarm system.
Yeah, Chazz, you see, this is what I'm trying to say. We've got to understand that stress is really doing a number on us, Chazz. Yeah. And again, we can't sound the alarm enough, because African Americans, all people are affected by it. But we African Americans, we have so much going on, and we need to just stop, sit down, and look at what Dr. Tracy Marks just said, a psychiatrist. She gave us the clue as to what to do to help that, which she says, get plenty of rest. Right. And not only getting plenty of rest, I'm going to keep saying exercise. That is the key to helping the hippocampus, is exercise. Yeah. And I'm going to beat a dead horse tonight, because I don't think we realize that stress, it has us doing this. Yeah, you see, this guy, he's stressed out, man. He's tired. He's going through a lot, and that's all of us. But the bottom line is, until we deal with this stress, we're going to continue to be having days like this. We're going to continue to have days like that, and we're going to continue to have days like this. So we're going to have to make some decisions, Chazz. And I've made up in my life as well. Hey, I got to stop talking about not being stressed out, and I got to do something about it, because a lot of us don't know what to do. We go to these religious institutions, and I'm not knocking them, but they're not helping us because we're stressed out. We go to the spiritual gurus. They're not helping us. We're meditating. Even that's not helping us, because it's more to it than just meditating. You're going to have to work out, and I don't know why many of us don't want to work out. So what is wrong with us when it comes to taking Dr. Tracy Marks? Just she gave us the antidote, but we're not listening, Chazz. What do you have to say about that?
She's spot on, especially with the exercise thing. Even before the stress, we made plenty of videos about working out and what it does for the body and how beneficial it is. The problem is that we don't want to do it like you just mentioned. We just want to go home after work, watch TV, cook, play with our kids for a little bit, and then lay on that phone and rinse and repeat all the every other day. And that's not a good cycle. And like you mentioned, I forgot to mention, when you're stressed, a lot of us don't deal with it clearly. A lot of us start doing things that we have no business doing, such as smoking, drinking, gambling, just doing some things that are very risky. And when you add all of that up, you're asking for disaster. But this sister's spot on, especially with the sleep part too. I believe one of our other comments by Brother Ray, he mentioned a few weeks ago that he's having a tough time sleeping. So that kind of goes hand in hand with Sister Tracy is saying, is that stress is messing us up, and we have to get enough sleep. Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, stress is definitely a downer, and it affects me to that point sometimes. What are some antidotes that you can suggest for people, including myself? Real talk, big brother. Well, if you just saw the video, we would suggest 2 or 3 things. Number 1, get some exercise. Number 2, get you some vitamin D, some sunlight. Get out that house. Get out that apartment. Go to that park. Look into that sun for a few minutes. Even if you're not looking, stand in the sun with your shoes off and your socks off and look into that sun for a few minutes. If you can't look, just stand under it. And third, get some proper rest. All those 3 go together. And those are, to me, some good tips for you if you want to take it seriously, that you can use to better yourself in that situation. Brother Ray fires in here. What's going on, Ray? He says, I was on the phone with a friend and remembered the show. So I got off the phone for the adult show. Well, we appreciate that, Ray. And in fact, it's crazy because I literally just mentioned you a few minutes ago. Then he also comments, Ray says, post-traumatic stress disorder due to the systematic racist system. Yeah. Every other day, you can look on YouTube, you look on the news, people are getting gunned down for things that we didn't do. We're getting incarcerated. People are just doing a lot of things to us as an African community, and that adds on to the stress levels as well, especially when people don't like a certain ethnic group. It's just sickening, man, but that is right, Brother Ray.
Okay, let's look at another video, Chazz, that I think is important, and it speaks for itself. So everybody stand by, and here it comes.
How does chronic stress lead to memory lapses? Imagine feeling overwhelmed all the time, like your brain is foggy and forgetful. That's often what happens when stress sticks around longer than it should. When you experience stress regularly, your body releases hormones called glucocorticoids, with cortisol being the main one. These hormones are helpful in short bursts, like during a quick emergency, but when they stay high for a long time, they can cause real problems. Chronic stress impacts parts of the brain that handle memory, especially the hippocampus, which is like the brain's librarian, organizing and storing memories. Too much cortisol over time can shrink the hippocampus and make it harder for it to do its job. This means your ability to remember new things or recall past events gets weaker. Stress hormones also redirect energy away from the brain to muscles, So your brain doesn't get enough glucose, which it needs to work well. When the brain doesn't get enough fuel, neurons can't communicate effectively, making it harder to focus and remember. Long-term stress can change the structure of neurons, shrinking their dendrites, which are like the branches that connect nerve cells. Fewer connections mean less efficient communication between brain cells, which is essential for forming memories. Stress also messes with neurotransmitters, the chemicals that help nerve cells send signals. When these are out of balance, memory consolidation becomes more difficult. Chronic stress doesn't just affect neurons, it also activates support cells in the brain called glial cells. Overactivation of these cells can cause inflammation, which can damage neurons and impair brain function. This inflammation can lead to ongoing memory issues, especially as people get older. When you're under constant stress, your attention and focus suffer, making it harder to take in new information. It also becomes more difficult to retrieve memories because the pathways in your brain aren't working smoothly. That's why you might forget where you put your keys or struggle to remember a name. The good news is that managing stress through practices like mindfulness, regular physical activity, and enough sleep can help lower cortisol levels. Keeping stress in check protects your brain and helps keep your memory sharp. Remember, reducing stress isn't just good for your mood. It's vital for your brain's health and your overall mental well-being.
You know, Chazz, I don't know what to say after seeing these types of videos.
Yeah.
Because these types of videos are just, they're so pertinent. They really are. But yet, many of us don't even take the time to look into how to heal as far as what do we need to do. The message is really simple, but we don't have what it takes because we think that some pie in the sky is going to drop down and make us do things, or we think that, you know, chanting some magical incantations are going to help us. It's not going to reduce stress. We think that making resolutions every year that we can't keep, we're killing ourselves. And this young lady, what I kept picking up on, what she kept saying was, she was talking about chronic stress. Chronic stress is that stress that keeps going. It doesn't stop.
Right.
It continues to go. And that's what most of us suffer from. We suffer from chronic stress, stress that will not leave us alone. And this is why we have to have this kind of discussion, because as this brother says, generations, chronic stress due to systematic racism. Yeah, you know, whatever we want to call it, we are under attack. And many of us don't want to do anything. We want to complain about it, but we don't know how to do anything about it. And this is why it's important that we have these kinds of discussions so that people can see that stress can be managed and our brains are really being affected by this inactivity when we don't exercise.
Brother Ray Firestone, he says, life's a beautiful struggle. Enjoy the beautiful struggle. Work hard and play hard. I want to take his comment that he just mentioned. He was talking about the systematic stress that we've been dealing with for centuries to Black people. Here's the thing for us Blacks, and I don't know if I can say this any clearer. Some of this, not with Ray, some of us are doing this to ourselves. Number one, we know we're Black, but we're putting ourselves in situations that we have no business putting ourselves in. And number two, with the police, we give them a hard time, mocking them, making smart comments about how they look or their appearance, and the list goes on and on. So some of this, not Ray, but I'm just saying some of us Blacks, we don't know how to function. We always got to have the last word. We always got to buck authority. We got to challenge authority. So some of this with the systematic racism, some of it, not all, some of it we're putting on ourselves. But then there's a lot of it that it's just people are just low down, evil, wicked, and rotten.
Yeah, you know, Chazz, I think that's very important what you just said. But I want to really get into some more of the details as to how stress, what it does to the brain. And this is a note that I want you to read, and I want to talk about this really quickly.
When we allow stress to get the better of us, we are neglecting our brain. I think we commented, I did this earlier.
What I wanted to talk about this is we neglect when we allow stress to get the better of us. I want to say this, Chazz, and I want to say it slowly. When we allow, notice it says when we allow it, because stress is going to come, but we don't do anything about it. So we're basically opening it up for this stress. We are neglecting our brain. Now, we neglect our children. Some of us neglect our health. Some of us neglect our responsibilities. But when we allow stress to get the better of us, we are neglecting our brain. And this is the biological aspect that we need to discuss, because you can talk about all the religious and the spiritual connotations, and I'm not against that. You can talk about all the spiritual and religious connotations you want, but until we deal with this brain, this biological thing that's inside of our head, then we're going to continue to look old and yet be young and be stressed out and argue all the time and holler all the time, smoking dope, biting our fingernails, fussing at our kids, just falling apart. So we have to look at it from a biological perspective, and that's one of our issues as Blacks, as African Americans. We don't want to look at the scientific aspect. But let me share with you, if you will. I know every week I go on a rant, but I want to go back to this because I want you to see this. Okay. Now the question should be, Chazz, there are two questions that should be asked. The first question should be, how long does it take the hippocampus to grow back after the years of damage due to stress? I was waiting for that question, but I didn't get it. So we'll pose it ourselves. Again, how long does it take for the hippocampus, as you're looking on this screen, how long does it take for that thing called the hippocampus to grow back after the years of damage that's due to stress? Because the hippocampus, if you look at it, it's a part of the brain that helps us with memory. It helps us with learning. It helps us with emotional balance. And it can regrow neurons through a process called neurogenesis. That's after the stress has already affected us. But the timeline depends on the severity or the duration of the stress. So if we've been stressed a long time, it's going to take a long time for this hippocampus to grow back because it's probably shrunk in many of our lives. Wow. And so research shows that with mild and moderate stress, the hippocampus can start recovering within a few weeks to months once the stress is reduced, but our stress isn't reduced. And then if it's reduced, we can become healthy again, like we'll be able to sleep, we'll be able to eat, and we'll have that balance that we're talking about. But the chronic stress, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Chazz, after I say this. With this chronic stress, this long-term stress, this stress that comes every other day, this stress that comes from your children, this stress that comes from your family, this stress that comes from my job, this stress that comes because of racism, this stress that keeps coming because of the bills are due, this stress keeps coming because of people. This is called chronic stress. Now check this out, Chazz. You will not recover from chronic stress. The hippocampus won't grow. It takes anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And it sometimes takes longer than that, depending on how much stress our hormone or the cortisol it's been exposed to. So the positive changes, man, that have to speed up this growth of the hippocampus is, here are the antidotes right here. You have to have regular exercise. I can't say this enough. We have to exercise. We have to be mindful. We have to get adequate sleep. And sometimes, like you mentioned, the omega-3 rich foods like fish, flaxseed, walnuts, social connection and reduced isolation, learning new things, which stimulates the hippocampal activity. And so while it doesn't regrow overnight, the hippocampus can heal and even grow larger again with constant, consistent, positive habits and reduce stress. And that's why I'm telling you, a lot of us don't want to learn. And we don't, our hippocampus have been damaged so much. We don't even want to learn anymore. All we want to watch TV, watch a phone, scroll on YouTube, go on social media, watch movies, watch sports, go to concerts, listen to comedians, and all that stuff is fine. But stress is killing us, and it's all because of a scientific aspect of our life called the brain. And a lot of us don't want to talk about the brain, but our brains are damaged. So you can pray, you can fast, I can jump through hoops, I can call spiritual incantations, I can call on all the spiritual gurus, I can go to China, I can go with all the monks, I can go in a cave. Until I exercise, this hippocampus is going to keep shrinking, and that's what's killing us and our children. And we don't want to have this intelligent discussion, Chazz. I know I was long-winded, and I'm sorry to be that way, but go ahead and say something about what I said about the chronic stress.
No, you fine. That was spot on. I was gonna ask for the years, because some of us have stress that's been throughout years, such as childhood through the teenage and then now to adults. So when you add all that together, it's not going back correctly, because you're adding, not you, just in us in general, you're adding so much stress on a day-to-day basis, plus all the trauma stuff that you've dealt with throughout the years. So is it possible in certain people's cases that this thing will never grow back?
Yep. And I want to show you what I mean by that. This is where we are, as I said earlier. There should be a signal going on in our minds. Our brain should be telling our bodies what to do. We should be able to think. We should be able to memorize. We should be able to learn new things. But here's what's going on now. No signal. It's no signal. It's no signal. Now, we don't like that, but that's true of many of us. We've been stressed out for so many years. There's no signal. There's nothing connecting. So now it makes sense why I am the way I am. Now I can realize that the reason that the no signal is there is because I've been stressed out so long for so many years that I think I'm doing well, but inside stress is eating me up. I have ulcers. I have stomach aches. I have headaches. I can't sleep at night. I'm moody. I'm angry. I'm very, very upset. You know, see, these are the reasons, because the no signal is going on, Chazz. And I don't think we want to talk about it, but that no signal is just too true. And we'd have to just take our lumps, because that's what's going on.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says, sadly, too many Black people have a victim culture. Yeah, in some cases we do. And then Sister Barbara fires in behind him and says, wow, time it takes the hippocampus to reset. Yeah, it takes a while. And like I said, on a day-to-day basis, you're constantly adding more and more stress. And like this brother just mentioned a few minutes ago, this thing can take a few years if you're not careful and you're constantly letting all that stress pile up on you.
Yeah, it's so true, Chazz. You know, I'm telling you, look at this. Stress affects the body. Stress affects the mind. Stress affects the behavior. Stress affects our emotions. See, we want to sit in class and talk about ABCs. We want to talk about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We don't want to get down to
No.
no, I gotta say this because that's what's going on. We want to talk about the baby stuff, you know, put one finger up, take two, put another finger up, and how many fingers do you have? See, we're adults now. We've been through so much stress. We should be experts on it. But unfortunately, because it has affected us, we're still in that little bitty class. You know, and like my students said this to me, and they taught me this. You know, they said this is the new slang for the young generation. They call it crashed out. In other words, when I no, let me explain this to you, because what I thought was this. In my generation, when we say somebody's crashing out, that means they're sleeping. But they told me no. They said no. The new statement is when somebody goes off of somebody, they'll say you crashed out on them. So many of us have crashed out for many, many years, always arguing, always bickering, always fussing, always screaming, always shouting, always being angry. And stress has affected us. It's affected our kids, and we're too ignorant. And I don't mean this to say that, that I'm better than anybody, because I'm just as ignorant as they come. We're too ignorant to sit down and watch a broadcast that's going to teach us how to live. We rather go to a building and chant and moan and groan and give our money and talk about things that's not going to help the body, things that's not going to help the mind, things that's not going to help the stress, when you have two people, yourself and myself included, where we're giving you simple tips, simple cures to how to stop this stress from shrinking the hippocampus. But we don't want it, Chazz. And that's just what it is. The hippocampus will not be reset because a lot of us don't want to do what it takes to reset the hippocampus.
Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, can the hippocampus be stressed to the point of an aneurysm or stroke?
If this wasn't a broadcast, I would say you bet your you know what, but I'll say you bet your lifesavers. Now, you know what that other, take lifesavers out and put that word in. It starts with the A. You bet your lifesavers. The hippocampus can be stressed to the point of aneurysm, strokes, high blood pressure. That's what stress does to us, Chazz. Ulcers, stress. And I'm not a doctor. I'm far from being one. But I know enough to know that stress has done great damage to us. And a lot of us have left this world because we were stressed out and we've had strokes. And nowadays, we don't want to hear about this kind of language. See, we rather talk about movies, who's starring in the latest movie, who got traded to a certain team. And all that stuff is decent, Chazz. But I'm trying to say, at what time will we get down to what we're talking about? This is called the nitty gritty. When we gonna start getting down to the nitty gritty, because stress is affecting our children. These kids are at school stressed out, being bullied. The teachers don't care about them. Stress is destroying us. But we as a society, us adults, we don't want to hear about stress because we think that we have everything under control and we don't.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says walnuts are packed with omega-3 vitamins. Yeah, and some. Then he also says, I call it the postmaster syndrome, generation trauma. I'm gonna pick you. Let me see here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sister Mashana fires in here, says stress is tearing us up. Yes, it is.
Yeah, she's right. Is. Please talk about that, because it's really done its damage on us, and we're laughing and having fun. But the serious part of it is we crying inside. You know, we're crying because my family is, I would say 99.9% of my family is stressed out. We gave some statistics last week about what stress is doing to us. 3 out of 4 people are affected by it. It doesn't care whether you're white. It doesn't care whether you're black. It doesn't care whether you're brown. It doesn't care whether you're green. It doesn't care whether you're purple. It doesn't care whether you're a male. It doesn't care whether you're female. It doesn't care whether you're a Baptist. It doesn't care whether you're a guru. It doesn't care whether you're a Muslim. It doesn't care whether you're an atheist. It does not care. And my issue with us as a people, which I'm saying this in love, I'm pleading. My issue with us as a people is we're not interested in stopping something that's killing us. We're not interested as a group in stopping something that's affecting our kids. We're not interested in sitting our you-know-what down for a half an hour to an hour to not just watch Adults Only every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, but we're not serious enough to sit down and say, I could benefit from this. I need to do better. I need to not just stop saying what I'm going to do, so-called New Year's, but I'm going to start exercising. See, and that's how simple it gets, Chazz.
Yeah, it really does. I was going to comment on Brother Ray's a few comments ago. He was basically talking about omega-3. And there's some chia seeds as well that help the brain as far as give it the proper nutrients that it's supposed to. And as this sister said on the screen, we're laughing. Stress is tearing us up day by day, night by night, shift by shift at our jobs. It's just all over the place. And I can't harp on this enough. Like she said, it's tearing us up from limb to limb.
Look at what's going on. Since you mentioned limb to limb, and she said stress is tearing us up. Look at the limbs that we see here. Look at all the limbs. That was a perfect lead in. Look at these limbs. Look at this, guys. I gotta blow this up.
Okay.
Stress, these are some of the common effects of stress. Again, we're not doctors. We're not neuroscientists. We just study and we realize that we need to have a discussion about stress. And we need to have one that's just common, where people can understand it. That's why we're not trying to use $1 million words to make you think we're somebody that we're not. These are basic concepts, common effects of stress on our body. Stress will affect our sleep. This is why a lot of us can't sleep. Now, I'm not talking about people like Brother Ray who has, issues sleeping. I'm talking about those of us who can't sleep because we got so much on our mind. A lot of us complain about headaches. And some of those headaches are because they're stress related. Some of us have muscle tension. Now, I'm talking to myself now. Muscle tension and pain. These knees be tearing me up. My back be killing me. And a lot of that is because of stress. Chest pain, thinking you're having the big one, but you really don't. It's stress. Our stomach is upset. Can't keep anything on our stomach. Some days we want to eat like pigs. Other days we don't have an appetite. Back pain. I'm stepping on my own toes. Fatigue. We can't even walk a block because we're stressed out. We can't even run a half a mile. We won't even get on a treadmill and walk. And then weight gain and weight loss. Chazz, this right here would make a brass monkey cry. And only the serious people, those who are committed to life, would continue to watch this kind of stuff and continue to say, Chazz and Jahi, don't y'all stop talking about stress. I need more of it. This is therapeutic. See, But an idiot, an ignoramus, you see, a person who really doesn't care about themselves, they would say, when are y'all going to talk about something else? Why don't y'all go to another subject? I'm tired of talking about stress. but you're being affected by stress. Your mama's being affected by stress. Your daddy's being affected by stress. Your children are being affected by stress. Your grandparents are being affected by stress. You're being affected by stress. I'm being affected by stress. We're all being affected by stress. Chazz, you're going to have to talk to the people, because I just know that in many of our lives, this subject is not one that we want to talk about, because this has nothing to do with an upcoming movie or somebody knocking a ball over a fence or something like that. So what do you say about that, man?
You're spot on. All of it, from the aspect of, like you said, back pains, fatigue, all of it. It is linked to stress. And like you said, a lot of us try to brush this subject under the rug, because deep down inside, brother, we know that this is affecting us. We know that this is harming us day by day. And it's that we don't want to talk about it, because to some, it's embarrassing. We don't like to talk about things that affect us, but this is a must talk about subject, because even myself, all of us are dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. Brother Ray Fire's in here. He says it's not healthy to hold all of this in, English and stress that you encounter day by day. It's not. It's not. When you hold all of it in, like I mentioned earlier, most of us are waiting to lash out. We're waiting to just explode on someone. We're waiting, even when we're driving in traffic. People cut us off or don't let us by in a certain lane, and we're driving up to them, giving them the finger and all this kind of stuff. This is what stress will do to you, instead of saying, you know what, that man or woman cut me off, so be it. We're putting so much stress in our body, and then the other person is giving us heat back. It's just so much stuff. And like this brother said, it's not good for us to hold all of it in, because what you're going to do, you're going to have a stroke, you're going to have high blood pressure, and some of us can have a silent stroke, meaning, when I say silent, nobody hears it until somebody comes home from work or school, and we discover our mother, father, grandparent is on the couch. We think they're asleep, but they've had a mini stroke.
Yeah, Chazz, that's so well put. And here's what I want to add to Raymond's comment, and I want to let him know this, that I'm not shooting at this comment because it's true. But my question is, which is rhetorical, he says it's not good to hold in a lot of anger and stress. Okay, now that's true.
Yeah.
But a lot of us don't know how to let it go. That's what I'm trying to say. See, we have all these different methods as to how to relieve stress. I've told you, we've looked at many videos, countless videos. We know the way to relieve stress. We don't want to do it. It's very simple. In order to alleviate stress, and not that it's going to continue to happen, it won't happen to you, I should say. But what I'm saying is, with all the stress that we go through every day, relational stress, home life stress, work-related stress, social stress, the only way that we're going to help the hippocampus grow again is we're going to have to exercise. Listen, let me say this, Chazz, because I want to go back to this, because Raymond is right, but I want to say this here, because I want to put this back up, and I want to say something about this particular image. Okay. Here's another question that no one want to ask. Now, here's a simple question. How does exercising the hippocampus, how does it help restore to its rightful size? See, that's the question I should have been asked 2 weeks ago, but I'm going to ask myself that. How does exercising help the hippocampus when we talk about stress? I'm going to tell you right now, so please listen, and I'll slow it down. When you exercise, and when I exercise, our brains, they release chemicals that help grow new brain cells. I'll say it again. When you exercise, smart guy and smart girl, because somebody said, well, he thinks he knows everything. He always running his mouth. Well, how does the hippocampus that we're pointing to, that has shrunk in most of our lives, how does that thing grow again? When you exercise, your brain releases chemicals that help grow new brain cells because the old ones are gone. And it improves the blood flow to the hippocampus, which is the part of brain, here it is. It's the part of your brain and my brain that controls memory, it controls learning, it controls thinking, it controls recollection. Chronic stress shrinks the hippocampus because stress hormones like the cortisol that we talked about last week, it damages the cells over time. And so exercise, it helps reverse that by reducing stress hormones so the brain can heal. It increases blood flow, giving the brain more oxygen and nutrients. It stimulates growth, proteins like BDNF, brain derived of proteins. And in short, brothers and sisters, it helps rebuild and strengthen the hippocampus cells that have been destroyed. I'm going to drop the mic. I'm going to get off this broadcast. I'm going to leave. I'm done. I'm through talking. It sounds like I'm angry, but I'm not. I'm excited. I just want to drop the mic and walk off because there's nothing else to be said. That's why we're harping on exercise, because exercise, it reduces the stress hormones so that your brain can heal. I don't know what else to say, Chazz. I'm done.
And I want to go back to Ray's comment. The healthy way, not him, I'm just saying in general, a healthy way. Because see, a lot of us, we have stress, we do it the unhealthy way, where we start smoking more, we start drinking more, we start popping more pills, we start fighting more. Those are all unhealthy ways. And on the flip side of that, you packing on more stress. The easiest way, like you just simplified, is basic. Get your butt up, get off that couch, get out of that bed, and get you some exercise. There's memberships at the gym, there's a park, there's some kind of way, and you don't have to be out there for hours and hours. At least 30 to 45 minutes, I would say, if you're an elder, it's going to reduce the stress level. But see, brother, here's the problem. A lot of us despise exercise. That's really what the issue is. Brother Ray fires in here. He says, you can tell when people are depressed. Usually their home is not clean and they practice bad hygiene because of depression. Yeah, some people do have a bad home where like they just let things just pile up and pile up. They're not in the mood to clean. They're frustrated. They're tired. They just don't have any energy to make that house clean. And it's just depressing them. And
yeah, he's right. He's right, because basically they don't feel like it, Chazz. That's what's wrong with them. It's not that they're nasty. It's not that they're, low down and don't want to clean up. Their mood has been affected by stress. And only people who realize that you and I are telling the truth, these are the ones that will benefit from it, because now they can say, the reason that I don't feel the way I should is because I'm stressed out. It affects our moods. We don't feel like doing anything. We don't want to be around people. We want to barricade ourselves up in rooms and caves, and we don't want to come out. So he's right in that it's not just because they're dirty people. It's because the depression have made them sink to a low stage in their life, and they don't want to do anything. They don't have the strength to do anything because that cortisol has been shot up in the hippocampus, and it has been shrunk so much that they don't have motivation to do the basic things that they need to do, like clean up the house.
Wow, this one is a tough one what Brother Ray mentions. He fires back in here and he says, you have stress eating too. Yes, you do. A lot of us, that's our number one go-to. And I'm not knocking this company. I kind of hate that they're around, but it is what it is. The Golden Corral or these Chinese buffets. A lot of us are known. And this isn't nothing that I'm taking pride in. I'm just in the general. A lot of us are known at these buffets because we're in there every other day, every other week. And we're just known for, stacking up all these plates. Yeah, I got 4 or 5 of them plates there at Golden Corral. I know they ain't going to be able to touch me. These buffets are really tearing us apart. And like this brother said, the stress eating, and I'm willing to bet you, it doesn't take all that to get you full. I'm talking about for the people who keep spending their money there. And I'm not knocking the Golden Corral. I'm not knocking the Chinese buffets. I'm just saying that these people abuse those places because 90% of those people, I bet you, that are recognized there, they are stress eating.
Yeah, and when you're stressed, that's what you want to do. When you're stressed, you want to eat. See, and you don't know what to do about that. So you're never full. And so we say that's gluttony. You're eating like a pig. But that person who's stressed, they're just consuming. They're consuming everything. So they gain weight. And then we look at them and say, wow, you're gaining weight. And what they should say to us is, this is really stress related. It's not that we're just getting older and we're gaining weight. We're stressed, so we eat at night. We eat in the morning. We eat at the midday. And the stress has affected us so much that it affects our emotions. We're more fussy. We have more anxiety. We have loss of confidence. We have irritability. We're alienated. We don't want to be around people. We're depressed, as Brother Raymond said. We have insomnia. We smoke. We drink. We lose our sex drive. We have a loss of appetite. We have impaired judgment. We worry all the time. We make hasty decisions. We have muddled thinking. We're very negative. We're indecisive. We have nightmares, breathlessness, fatigue, headaches, frequent infections, taut and twitching muscles, skin irritations. I can go on and on because I know that stress
Wow.
has affected me. And those of us who's looking at this broadcast, we ought to be excited about we can do something about stress. See, we can do something about stress. But unfortunately, all we do is wait until the end of this year and we make these stupid, asinine resolutions about what we're going to stop doing. And we're not going to stop doing them because we can't stop doing them because stress has gotten the better of you. It's gotten the better of me. It's gotten the better of our children, our grandchildren. It's getting the best of our people. And we don't want to sit down and say, hold on for a second. I need to look at a broadcast, or not just this one, but any broadcast that's telling you how to defeat this enemy that has taken most of us down. We're telling you what to do. But because we think we know everything, some of us, we just don't want to do right.
Sister Barbara Flowers in here. She says, stress is a bad, shut your mouth. I appreciate this podcast so much, and I'm trying to work on me. Well, that's good that you appreciate this broadcast. And then she also says she's trying to work on herself. Take what you can and apply it to yourself, because there's some things that may not apply to us, because everybody's not a chronic smoker or drinker. But there are some things on this show that can apply to all of us. Take what you can and apply it to the best of your ability. It's the best I can tell you. Brother Ray Fires is behind her. He says, too much escapism. Trying to avoid the stress is counterproductive as well. Yeah, see, with the escapism, a lot of us are just constantly looking for ways to get away, looking for things. That's why some of us have addictive shopping sprees. We're constantly in the malls. We're constantly online shopping. We're constantly going to these stores such as, Walmart and Cato's and Burlington and all these places. We're looking for ways to escape because that stress is on us. That's what he's basically saying. So he's spot on.
Yeah, here's some more comments that's coming in, Chazz. I'm just flooding them in so we can talk about them briefly.
Sister Barbara fires in. She says, couple the damaged hippocampus to what we women go through called menopause. That's a stick of dynamite, ladies/sisters. Yeah, that really is for you women out there who have menopause. That's one thing. And like she said, you add that stress on top of that. If you're not careful, that's the early death grave. If you're not using your mind correctly to deal with it.
Chazz, talk about some of these effects of stress as you see them on the screen here. Just say something about each one of these, some of them, so we can let people know this is what's going on.
Effects of stress. Number one for the body. Frequent infections, like you mentioned, breathlessness, headaches, and fatigue. We're always tired. Our headaches are always pounding. We always have to get some ibuprofen, some Tylenol, some Advil. We always have to take these things because it's not so much always the food. It's because we're stressed out. Next to it, the mind, impaired judgment, hasty decisions, nightmares, negativity, and warning. And some of it has to do with what we're watching at night with the nightmares before we go to sleep. But a lot of that, like we mentioned, not being able to make a good judgment, just doing things that aren't smart, making terrible, terrible decisions. That's what I would classify as hasty decisions. And then on the bottom right, it says behavior, insomnia, aggression, restlessness, accident prone, and loss of appetite. And you can tell with the aggression, a lot of us don't have to be as aggressive as we are, but that's because we're stressed. We're looking for some way to release this. We're looking for some kind of way to let this stuff go. And the insomnia. Some of us have sleep insomnia. Now, some of that has to do with, once again, stress. We can't sleep at night because all this stuff that's stacked on us, we're not clearing our mind. We just got all this stuff we're thinking about. We're on our phone constantly. All this stuff is piling up, and it's going to be a terrible fate if we don't get this in check. And last but not least, emotions. Fussy, irritability, alienation, depression, and loss of confidence. And I really want to touch on the last one, because the loss of confidence is what has people in low self-esteem. Ugly, not worthy, a piece of garbage. Just low in society. And that confidence, and I keep hitting on that because a lot of us have issues with our image. We're not happy with what we see in the mirror. And I'm not judging or making fun of people. It's that people who have these issues about themselves, you got to get a grip on this, because when you lose your confidence, it goes down the drain after that. Brother Ray Fires in here, he says stress can make you sleep too much or make you not sleep well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right, because a lot of people, they want to sleep because they don't want to deal with reality. Because when you sleep, you're in a certain situation where you're not in the reality is not really real. You're just kind of, just like I said, you're comatose, you know, and you want to escape. So you want to go, as he mentioned earlier, this escapism. You don't want to face what's really going on. So you want to sleep, and you're so low. Stress has done its damage, and it has made us want to just lay in the bed all the time. And if we get up, it's only to use the restroom or drink some water and get right back in the bed. It's like you've been sleeping for 9 hours, but because stress has affected their emotions, man, it has really done this damage on us. And I think a lot of us need to look at this, even our children. See, a lot of our children are stressed out. We think it only happens to adults, but we don't have these discussions with our children. A lot of our children are stressed out, and it makes us sleep too much, or sometimes we can't get any sleep. It all depends. You see, and yes, stress does affect diabetes. Stress affects your every organ in your life. Every part of your life is affected by stress in some kind of way. It really is.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says women go through menopause and men go through when it pauses. He's joking around. But yeah, man, this stress is a terrible silent killer. A lot of us in society in America, we're not dealing with this, but this must be dealt with because, like I said, we're all affected one way or another. And like I said, you have to get a grip on this because you don't want to, have an early death because of this stuff.
I go back to this here image. When we stressed out, and this kind of stress we're talking about is the chronic stress. This thing that you see called the hippocampus is responsible for thinking. It's responsible for memory. It's responsible for recollection. It's responsible for learning. It's responsible for a lot of things that we do. But when we stress, this hippocampus, it shrinks, you see. And when it shrinks, if we don't exercise, if we don't meditate, what happens is over a long period of time, a lot of things happen to us mentally it gets to the degree where if we don't do anything about it, when we become older, like the last week's video showed, Alzheimer's, fogginess, forgetfulness, that's what is in store for us. And here are two men taking time out of their busy schedules to talk to the people to say, this is something that we can do to help ourselves. But because we don't look at it from a scientific perspective, we just think that one day we're going to just stop being stressed and everything's going to be all right. Well, the damage has already been done. And this is why we can't make decisions. I was listening to what you said earlier, but that's important because a lot of people, they don't know how to make decisions because the hippocampus have been so damaged, they don't know which way to turn. So again, I don't know what else to say, Chazz, other than we're beating a dead horse, but the horse needs to be beaten because we're trying to give people life and let them know that this is a serious subject.
Brother Ray has another good spot on comment. He says stress can raise your blood sugar levels. Absolutely. And that's why some of us, we love sweets. I know I like sweets. I'm not going to lie. So he's kind of stepping on my toes here. I love sweets. But he's saying that this stress can make your blood sugars go up. And it can. We're constantly looking for the cookies. We're constantly looking for the ice cream. We're constantly looking for the donuts. Constantly looking for the Snickers, the Hershey's, the Mr. Good bars. All these things because our stress is we're at a high level, and that chocolate and that candy and that ice cream and donuts, that's our comfort zone. And it makes us feel good. So we cling to that, and before you know it, our blood sugars are sky high. And then before you know it, you're stage 4 or stage 3 diabetic.
Well, Chazz, it's always a pleasure to do the broadcast in spite of who tunes in or who doesn't. I think we just need to continue to talk about this stress because this has been therapeutic for me for the last 2 weeks, talking about it and then doing something about it. It's been very therapeutic. I appreciate these kinds of discussions. As the comments continue to roll in, we wanted you all to know, someone says that stress can cause bowel movements. Another one says strict in my head. He says, I must say, I have work to do. Then another beautiful queen says, Shimotel. Chazz, I don't know what else to say. I know we have next week, we have a lot more to say, but as far as tonight, this thing here is important. And this should be a part of our language, the hippocampus.
Yeah.
That's very important from a scientific perspective. When that thing has shrunk and it's damaged due to chronic stress, it's hard, Chazz, to remember things. It's hard to want to know things. I always wonder why people don't want to learn. Well, if you're stressed out and you've been stressed for so long, and the hippocampus have been damaged, then a lot of times we don't have the desire to learn. So now it makes sense why people don't want to do anything but look at a phone and scroll, because the hippocampus have been destroyed, man. And I really don't want that to be something that's said of us. I want you to know that next week, tell someone about this broadcast. Once again, I'll let Chazz close us out, but I just want you all to know that, we really love you all too. Raymond say he loves us. We love you too, brother. And we just want to have the best for our people, because our people are suffering from every aspect of life. Everything's happening to us. And here are some positive messages that you can take, that you can do, which is simple. Meditate, exercise. It's not going to change. Don't say what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. That's the antidote to help us get this hippocampus back, because of the brain cells that have been destroyed. Having said that, Chazz, I'll let you take us home. I'll see you next week. And just tell the people something that you want them to know about this stress and how they can help themselves. So hope everybody have a good evening, and I'll let Chazz take us home.
All right. I appreciate you doing the show with me as always. I appreciate all the comments as they constantly roll in. We truly do. For the people stuck with us for an hour and some change, we appreciate you. But tonight's broadcast is important. It's about the stress, what we're doing in our daily lives, how it is affecting our moods, our cortisol, our blood pressure, our blood sugar, all these things that are tearing us up every second, every day. We're not coping with the stress correctly. We don't want to exercise. We're not doing this the healthy way. And once again, myself is included, we all go through stress. Stress isn't a bad thing. Stress is a bad thing, but we have to correctly approach this thing. We can't start overeating. We can't start over smoking, over drinking. We have to start getting our exercise, getting our vitamin D, and hopefully not lashing out on others. It's not other people's fault that we're going through things. It's not other people's fault that we are not getting as much hours, of not making as much money on our job or what have you, whatever the case is. Myself included, we have to do a self-reflection day by day and not letting our hippocampus shrink to the point that it's beyond repair. I hope you guys took something from this video message, and I hope to see you guys next week. I appreciate everybody that logged in. Take care, everybody.